ads have changed, but in a lot of ways, they've never really changed all that much. And that's why I really think that now is the time to create a big video to show you exactly, beginning to end, exactly how you can run Facebook ads yourself if you have no experience, you've never done it before, you don't know anything about Facebook ads, or if you do know the basics even, you're going to get plenty of advanced tips. There's going to be chapters underneath here, and you're going to be able to easily skip to the part that you want or watch the whole thing all the way through. I've worked really hard to make sure that this is comprehensive, and it's going to help you not to just run them like, hey, can you run Facebook ads? Sure, I'll run them. No, you want to actually perform well. I'm going to show you how to set up Facebook ads in a way that actually gets results. So let's dive in. First thing is we need to really wrap our minds around how the algorithm works and how placements work, so that we actually understand what it means to run Facebook ads. Okay, so we're going to be talking here generally about the auction, what it is, why it matters, and what you need to know. So essentially, every time that an ad exists, it is going through every single second a mini auction for your eyeballs. And more importantly, the thing to focus on really is that every time that you or somebody else is on their phone scrolling through the Facebook or Instagram app, there is an auction taking place. Like, people are bidding on your eyeballs. And the best way to think about that is as a placement. And these are really important to think about. This is the terminology that Facebook uses in their backend, placement. What a placement is digital ad space. So what you can think of as a placement is basically a piece of the apps that your ad can show up on. So for example, a placement in the real world, as if Facebook is not the real world. A placement in the real world is like a billboard. And that billboard there has certain things associated with it. It has price associated with it, and it has a certain audience and traffic associated with it, right? And those things dictate its cost, and it dictates many other things within the actual audience and what you're actually bidding on. So what are the things that factor into your bid? So many things, honestly. Things like the quality of the ad, the quality of the landing page, right? The quality of your campaign and ad groups and how well they're performing, all those types of things. Also, the audience that you're bidding on. Is it a competitive audience or is it not? If it's a very competitive audience that a lot of advertisers are trying to reach, like a type of people that are trying to be reached, then you can expect it to be more expensive. Just like a billboard in New York City versus a billboard in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the New York City billboard is going to be more expensive, right? Because there's more foot traffic. There's going to be more eyeballs. More people are seeing it. And since more people are seeing it, it just drives up the cost. These are more expensive views. And also you might say there's maybe more money in New York City, so it's a more affluent type of customer. And so that means that that's going to drive up the price as well. The same thing happens with our digital ads. They're just like little billboards, but there's billboards everywhere. And you'll see placements like, obviously, the feeds, right? Like Instagram feed, Facebook feed. There's Messenger. There's, I don't know if I should write everything in my chicken scratch, but you get the point. Marketplace. There is in-stream video. There is right-hand side ad. There's so many different types. Instagram Explore. These are all placements. We are bidding on these things all the time. So as eyeballs scroll the screen, right? There is constant auctions going on. Constant auction, happening in a split second, right? Other things that play into the auction are budget and your bid. Now, this is something that Facebook mostly handles for you, or Meta handles for you most of the time, but you are allowed to make manual bids for these eyeballs to try to shove your way in front of other people. You're basically saying, hey, I'll spend more money to reach these people than other people will. And that's how you're able to get in front of better people sometimes. You always have to test it. But essentially, what you really need to know is, in order to have a successful advertising campaign, you need to win auctions for your target customers all the time. And when you're running an ad, a bunch of auctions are happening at all times with all of these different things. And the cost of your ads, which is called the CPM, or cost per 1,000 impressions. An impression is just an eyeball. An eyeball crosses your ad, it's an impression. Okay? So as soon as an eyeball crosses an ad, there is a bid that happens and there's an auction that happens. And it's taking all these things into account. It's also taking these things into account. If it's on the feed, that's more premium space typically, so it tends to be more expensive and it drives the CPM up higher. Whereas something like video, inside videos, or right-hand side ads sometimes can be a little bit cheaper, so that might drive down the CPM a little bit. All of these things ultimately factor into how much your ads are going to cost, how much your cost to acquire customers is, your cost to acquire leads is. And these are the things that we need to know when we're running ads. There are auctions taking place all the time, and that is how we're able to get results with our ads. It might be helpful for me to just give you a couple of benchmarks, at least at the time of this writing. It hasn't changed a lot in the last couple of years. Generally, if you're running B2B ads on Facebook and Instagram, you're looking at a benchmark CPM somewhere around, I would say, $30 to $50. It can be as high as $80 because there's so many different things that come into account when you're talking about the cost of ads. But the cost to reach 1,000 people, get 1,000 eyeballs, is between $30 and $50. And it really depends. Sometimes you can get down to 20, 25. Sometimes you end up with 60, 70, and you have a hard time escaping it. And you have to try different combinations of these different things in the bid to get that number down. But this number has a huge impact on the success of your campaigns because it's how expensive it is. And if you're in B2C, meaning you're selling to consumers, you have physical products you sell to consumers or services sell to consumers, etc., those audiences tend to be maybe more in the $5 to, let's say, $15 range. Obviously, they can be a little less, not usually. They can be a little bit more. But this is generally the sort of benchmarks that we're looking for in CPMs. Okay, now let's dive into objectives, the algorithm, really how Facebook ads work and do not. This is really important to dig into because really Facebook tries to do what you tell it to do, but you also need to understand how it interprets that information, if that makes sense. So let's dig into objectives and dig into how Facebook actually tries to get you the results that you want it to get and how you can give it the right information to get the right results. This is really important, and a lot of folks starting out sort of skip over this piece and it wastes tons of money. So let's dig into it. So if you want Facebook ads to do the thing that you want them to do, you need to tell them what you want. And this is the most powerful thing and most important thing that most people honestly miss, and that's simply getting your objective right. Now, obviously, if you've been running ads for a while and you've studied it a bit, this is obvious to you. It's basic, right? You know what an objective does and what the purpose of it is. But this is so often a mistake that I see others make when they're running ads for the first time, or they're just a business owner who's like, oh, I want to try running ads, and they just throw these things up, and the objective, they don't think through it very much. They don't do a lot of the setup on all of these things, right? So for objectives, you want to realize that when you first start running an ad, you first start a campaign, it's going to ask you what it is that you want. Do you want to get brand awareness? Do you want to get conversions? Do you want to get sales, leads? It used to be called conversions. Now they're starting to break it up into these two things, really. Do you want to get video views? Do you want to get engagement? All of these types of things. So these are, and there's more, and I'll show you in a minute. These are the objectives that you have the opportunity to show people. But here's what's really, really crucial about this. This is why objective is so important. Based on the objective that you choose, it will find people for that campaign that are most likely to take that action. So ultimately, we all want to get sales and leads in our business. Otherwise, why would we be running ads? The whole point of ads, eventually, even if it's not the immediate objective, is to make money. That's the whole point. So a lot of folks that are starting out, they're saying, yeah, I want brand awareness. Of course, I would love people to be aware of my brand. They'll start a brand awareness campaign. But you have to realize that when you say, hey, Meta, go get me brand awareness, they're going to go find people that are most likely to recall your ad, give you an ad recall lift. And they're going to find those people, and that's who they're going to show your ad to, not people that necessarily have a history of converting. Whereas if you chose a sales objective right out of the gate, you're immediately going to be going after people that are likely to buy something. And in fact, I forgot traffic. That is the most overutilized one by beginners, because if you run a traffic campaign to a cold audience who doesn't know you, you have no idea, this is the objective, the algorithm is just going to go out and find people that are likely to click. And those people, they may very well have no interest in converting. In fact, I have never run a traffic campaign to a cold audience that has been what I would call successful. It's not a great audience. You can run it after, right? You can retarget with it, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we don't want to necessarily run it to a cold audience, because do we want people that are just going to click stuff? Or do we want people that are likely to buy stuff? Which is why more often than not, you're going to see most folks using these objectives at the top of the funnel, which is not to say that you can't use brand awareness at the top or engagement at the top or traffic or even video views. And it depends on your audience size. If it's a really small audience size and it's focused, or if you have a really huge budget and you just want to build a huge, big, warm audience, those might be really viable options. And there are certain strategies that makes a ton of sense for. But more often than not, you coming in here looking to run your first ads or looking at others who are running ads, you're going to see the majority of their campaigns as sales or leads campaigns, because these campaigns find people that are most likely to convert. And if those people convert, that turns into direct ROI, and direct ROI is what we need for our businesses to be happy and thrive. So this is most likely what you're going to be choosing. We have to talk about the pixel here. So what is a pixel? A pixel is a third-party cookie that is a piece of code that lives on your site. You should have the meta pixel on every single web page that is associated with your business, because it's always creating data. Think of it as a jar that fills up. And the more stuff that's in the jar, the better that Meta is able to create the kind of performance you want for your ads. So if you've got a really full jar, there's all sorts of information in there that Meta can pull from to be able to get you the results that you're looking for when you set up your objectives. If you have a jar that is mostly empty, you'll see that the Meta algorithm is going to be sort of doing a lot of its own testing on the back end that you don't even know about, trying to figure out who is going to respond to your ads. How do you fill up this jar? You fill up this jar with the pixel. So the pixel, again, third-party piece of code. It goes in the header. It's a global pixel, and you just put it in the header of every single one of your sites. If you have something like Wix on your website, you're just going to go to the integrations there, tracking integrations, and you're going to put the pixel code in there, which you get through Events Manager. Okay. If you are running a WordPress site, then you probably want to download a third-party app like Pixel My Site, which is what I often use. You put in the code there. If you're running funnels and ClickFunnels or Go High Level or something like that, you're going to go up to the funnel global settings and put the pixel code in the header, right? So this makes it so that all that information is tracked, okay? But that's not all there is with pixels. Pixels are a little bit more complicated. Remember how I talked before about objectives? And we talked about how you choose the objective that you want to hit. Obviously, one of the most sought after objectives is conversions, because that's what we really want people to do with our ads. We're running ads so that we can make money. So we're running purchase conversion ads, we're running lead conversion ads, complete registration, etc. And the way that we can actually track when those events fire, when our ads actually receive a conversion, is because of what's called an event code within the pixel on that page. The best way that I can describe it is a little tag that is on that page only. So let's say that I go to a page off of an ad, right? And that ad wants me to turn into a lead. So I click the ad and I go onto a landing page. That landing page has the global pixel on it, so we're good, like we're being tracked there. But now there's a form on that page. When I fill out that form, the software is set to redirect me to another page. And that page says, thank you for opting in, thank you for registering. That page needs that extra tag or that event code. What you do is, it's something that looks like this, and I'll put a link in the description of Facebook's standard event specifications. And what you do is you encase what you find in there with a script tag. It looks something like this. And then when somebody goes to that page, that tag will be triggered. That little tag, the script tag that I just showed you, goes in the footer. If you're using a platform like Wix, or you're using Pixel My Site on WordPress, something like that, often these apps, these third-party apps or the tracking tools within these programs have ways to set up event codes in there, and you can pick the standard event that you want. I highly recommend sticking to standard events. If you're trying to get leads, use lead or complete registration. If you're trying to get phone calls, you should use submit application or schedule. I usually use schedule. If you're trying to get sales, you should use purchase. I think that if you're thinking too much out of the box, that's a problem. Add to cart, also, if you're an e-commerce business, there's add to cart and there's initiate checkout. If you're using Shopify, those are actually just already built in. Like once you do the Facebook integration, it just sort of all works. It's a really well done on Shopify. But if you're using something like WooCommerce on WordPress, there's definitely some other things that you need to think about to make that successful. But if you're just running a funnel in ClickFunnels or Go High Level or some other funnel software, lead pages, whatever, you just need to find the place in that software where you can modify the footer code. Very easy. It's usually right there. Like here's a Go High Level example. I would go to the tracking section when I'm in the edit page environment, and I would just say tracking code, click over to footer, and that's where I put the script tag, and it would automatically work. And then I highly recommend that everybody have some Chromium browser installed on their computer, meaning either Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Brave, any of these are built on the Chromium infrastructure. So that just means that they're built on the same engine, sort of, that Google Chrome is built on, so you can use Chrome extensions. So you should download the extension that's called, probably now called Meta Pixel Helper. And the Pixel Helper is a little extension up there, and when you click it, it will show you if there's a pixel on the site, what the pixel is, what the ID of it is, and then if an event is being triggered, like lead or schedule or whatever it is. So that's how you can test to see if things are working. This is honestly one of the first things that you should do. You cannot run ads without a pixel. You must have that going. You get it onto your site, you get it onto your pages. If you do not have a meta pixel on your site right now, you should get it on even if you're not running ads, because you're always collecting that information. Because that's how retargeting happens as well. That's the magic of the pixel. Since it's always gathering data and filling up that jar, the more that is in that jar, every ounce inside that jar is able to be retargeted to, right? So everybody that clicks on your ad, everybody that visits your website, all those people are put into the Facebook pixel. And that means that you can retarget them. We're going to cover retargeting later on in the video, okay? Now, one very important note to this is that back when iOS 14 came out, which seems like such a long time ago now, we're on 17, but it was this whole big thing because Apple was basically making it default that when you were on Safari on your phone and browsing around, or when you were in mobile browsers, you were just not going to get tracked. You would have to actually turn it on, and so it was blocking these pixels. So there was no way for us as advertisers to know when people were visiting our sites and such, because it was just all blocked. In addition to that, Apple also made it mandatory that every single app on the App Store that collects data through something like a third-party cookie, which means sort of every single app, because they all want to advertise to you, or it's an app like a game, like Angry Birds is a game that has ads in it, and those ads are built off of Google Display Network or something, and so they need a pixel to run. So now they have to add the Ask App to Track thing. If you click Allow, and you've probably seen this, and you've tried to make that decision about which one you should click. If you click Allow there, it means that you can be retargeted and you go into the pixel data, basically, of that company. If you choose not to, you'll essentially be a cipher. They won't know what you do. Now, the other piece of this is what's called CAPI, or server-side tracking. This is something that you should set up as well. And this is a sort of safeguard to allow more of your data to make it through a different form of tracking from your site and events that happen on your site back to the actual ad. So to set up server-side tracking, you're going to go into your events manager, and then you're going to go into the setup right here and just go through the steps. It's going to walk you through the steps so that you can send that hashed information back over to the server, right? It's a little more complicated to set up, but it's worth it. It's very much worth it. Definitely get your server-side tracking set up in addition to your pixel tracking, because your numbers are just not going to be super reliable. Personally, I have seen that the numbers are really not too bad. It was a little overblown how bad the data was in Facebook Ads Manager. It's still not perfect or really even close. So the more that we can do to get the best data in, the better off that we are. A lot of people think of objectives and targeting as the most important thing, really, in running ads. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that not one thing is necessarily more important than another, and it really depends on the offer. And there's so many different things happening that can really change things from second to second, really, in the algorithm. But audiences and targeting are very crucial, and they have changed a bit over the years. So this is the most updated version, as I'm recording this in fall of 2023, of how to target effectively in Facebook ads and what it means. So this is picking your audiences and figuring out how to go after them. We're going to go over the different types of audiences, what they're best used for, and my recommendations on it. Regular marketing funnel, and I'll be quick with this. You have generally 3 stages. Here is your cold audience. These are people who have no relationship with your brand. You have your warm audience. They're in the sort of consideration phase. They have a relationship with your brand in some way. They've seen your ads, they've watched your videos, whatever it might be. And then you have your hot audience here. They are just about ready to buy. We just got to push them over the edge. And I bring this up because right now we're looking primarily at cold audience targeting. So what kind of people, brand new customers who have no relationship to us, what kind of things can we show them? How can we advertise to those people? Then, of course, you can create custom audiences off the pixel, as I just explained before, and we'll explain later when I show you how to set up retargeting, and they're in your warm audience. It's just another version of an audience, okay? So this is a much larger audience on top because it's a funnel. We weed people out as we go, and they weed themselves out. Oh, some people aren't interested, or they're not a good fit, so they fall out, and so this is smaller, and then the same thing happens down here. So what are your options for cold audience targeting? Most of what you're going to find yourself doing when you're advertising to cold audiences is you're going to be targeting interests. These are Facebook defined. So Facebook has many hundreds of different types of things that people have shown that they're interested in. Facebook, obviously, because they own Instagram and they own Facebook, knows a heck of a lot about us, and they have extremely advanced deep learning going on to analyze all of the stuff that we put out into their platforms to gather a profile on us. We all have something of a little profile, and it's pretty detailed. It knows a lot about us, including our interests. Not necessarily interests that we just outwardly say we're interested in this. It could be comments that we make. It could be posts that we post. It could be videos that we make. Any kind of content that we put onto the platform, personal, otherwise, is grouped into these interests, and they create our sort of mini portfolio. And that is how the Meta algorithm knows who to target your ads to. So we have all of these interests. So for example, something like roofing is an interest. Something like entrepreneurship is an interest. These are huge audiences, for example, right? But then you'll find others that are very small. Like maybe there's some folks that like a single page, and that page has 500,000 followers. Then that is something that is a targetable interest. So it's more expensive because smaller audiences are more expensive than very large audiences, but it's always a pros and cons. Ultimately, you really just care about how much a lead or a sale costs you most of the time. So roofing, entrepreneurship, those are great examples. There's hundreds. And likely what you're going to be doing here is mostly going after interests. Now, remember, we talked about the pixel jar that we're trying to fill, right? We'll give it a little top. I don't know what this is. You're trying to fill up the pixel jar here. And as it fills up, those people get profiled as well. And we know a lot about them. And so not only can you retarget with these people, but you can create what's called lookalike audiences off of these people. So let's say you say, hey, Meta, I want you to take everybody that has become a lead in my company, and I want you to go find me 2 million more people like that people. That is a lookalike audience. It's a very powerful thing, and it can work quite well. It can also crash and burn. You have to test all of these things. So that's another option to target a cold audience. And for the most part, that's what you're looking at. There's also things like behaviors that you might layer on, like certain things that do these people watch video or not, things like that. There's also demographics. So if, for example, you often market to people that just got married or they're parents of young kids or something, you may find ways to target them within demographics that can be effective. All of these things are able to be targeted in the back end. What we need to do now is not rely so much on the audience type targeting that I was talking about in the last section and really go all in on creative, because creative really is the thing that is going to capture attention and convert people, because you don't just want higher click-through rates, you also want to get someone invested enough in the idea that they will go through the rest of your funnel. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about creative, my recommendations here, how you can do it without like making crazy video ads and having some crazy budget or anything like that, and just sort of the basics of how to do this. So let's go into that. When you really boil it down, there are just a few pieces of creative that need to sing together to make the perfect ad. So you choose simply between an image or a video. Just be really straightforward. Those are the two things that you choose between. Have to have one of those things. Neither one is better than the other, despite what people will tell you. Every business is different. Every offer is different. And your audience's consumption patterns are different. So some people will respond better to images than videos. And then people within audiences will respond differently. So ideally, in any given ad set or any given campaign or whatever, you would have both an image and a video running, because you never know who's going to interact with it. So you've made the decision between image and video. Then you need copy. Copy means the words that show up in the caption. It shows up on Instagram as a caption. On Facebook, you think of it as copy. Whatever it is, it's the words that you use to help to get people to click. And so that is copy. Then you need the headline. And the headline is just one sentence. It doesn't even show up on Instagram for the most part, and it's going to show up on Facebook ads. You're going to see it right in the feed, and you'll see it in a lot of other places. So those are really the things that you need to think about. Really. I mean, there is a description piece there, but on mobile, you can't really see it. I mean, these are the three things that you need to think about. So what are you looking for from the baseline on these things? You're looking for things that do a few things. Number one, and this is the most important thing, they need to grab. They need to be thumb stoppers. This is something that obviously a lot of people don't even think about. I know it sounds obvious. Oh, of course, I want to stop people in the feed, right? But how many ads do you see that don't do that? They're just boring images of somebody in an office or something like that. grab. You have to really grab people. So if you have a video, the first 3 seconds need to be like, bam, they need to hit you over the head. So it can be like something on screen, like a video clip. It can be something like text that's there that really grabs people. Whatever it is, it needs to be a thumb stopper. And then image, same thing. Bright. That's why bright colors work so good. And I'm going to show you in this video when we go through setting up a Facebook ad exactly what I use, what kinds of images I use, and how I create them in the feeds so that they do a great job at this. With the copy really needs to do 2 very important things. The copy needs to, one, same thing, it needs to grab attention, and it needs to optimize to convert. See, this is something that a lot of people miss. You can't just write anything here, and you really need to make sure that you're getting the right people clicking your stuff, and that really comes down to the copy. Sometimes it comes down to the video as well. It often comes down to the video, because if people are watching the video, they're getting a version of that, right? They're kind of getting indoctrinated. That's really what we're talking about here, is indoctrination. Because the copy can't just have everybody come in. We need certain types of folks to come in. We talk about this all the time at Reframe. A huge part of Reframe is polarization, because we want to repel a certain type of people and attract another certain type of people. We need to do this in our copy because we want to make sure that the people that actually click and that we're going to pay for, we're paying to be in front of them, are people that are going to convert for us. These are people who are going to buy from us down the line. They're going to buy the offer. We don't want just click-happy people. So the copy helps us indoctrinate those people. And the headline, really similar to copy, but it's mostly just for grabbing attention. It's mostly just for grabbing attention. So these are the 3 pieces that we need to put in place. I'm going to show you, obviously, the tactical inside of an ad type stuff that you need to do in a bit, but these are really the things to think about. We're not going to be able to go deep on video ads. I have tons of stuff on my channel about video ads and how to create high-converting video ads, and I'll put some of the links in the description. But needless to say, there's no rule. Some people say 15-second videos. Some people say, oh, it should be like an Instagram reel. Whereas I have run videos that have been 12 minutes long and have converted like crazy. There's no one rule. At the end of the day, the biggest rule is you need to take somebody, if it's a cold audience ad, from cold to sold. That's the biggest rule, which generally means that you need to take them through my 4 R's method in some way in your copy and in your video. And the 4 R's are relate, rile, reveal, and release. We want to first relate to the audience. We want to say, hey, I understand what you're dealing with and the problem. You have this problem. We're really talking about the problem that these people face. Then rile is where we rile up the emotions, right? It's important that people don't just buy for logistical reasons. They buy for mostly emotional reasons. So it's logic, emotion, logic, emotion. So the logic is relate. We're going to relate to their problems, and rile is to rile up the emotion to get them feeling the pain. Then we reveal our unique solution. Once again, logic. And then we release. We release that tension that we made in the rile stage. So when we're writing copy, we're going to take people through this sequence where we introduce the problem, rile it up, reveal our solution, then release that tension. Okay? We want the problem gone, the problem erased. Okay, so that's very important. Videos, whatever. This is just basically digital marketing 101. I mean, this is my system, but it's very similar to other systems that you've seen. We just want to introduce the problem and the pain and then release them from that problem and that pain with a unique solution. So in both cases, that's exactly what you want to do. So testing is very important, and the way that I do testing is a little bit of a mishmash, to be honest. What I generally think that you should do is first start with audience. So you take your best shot at the ad, and here's how the sort of campaign structure goes when I'm starting out. We talked before about CBO versus AVO, right? We always start with testing with our budget at the ad set level. That's called an ABO campaign, ad set budget objective, right? Ad set budget objective, right? Okay, so we have the campaign at the top level, okay? And then down here, we have our different audiences. And I like to have something in the realm of 3 to 5 to start with. So we have an audience that we're starting with. I like to test them individually. So what you want to do is you want to find targets in interests or demographics or whatever it is, and I want to find some that are specific enough to be really sort of niched, or like they're a little interest pocket that we could talk to with our prospects, but at the same time, they're also big enough where the audience isn't like super, super small. So you're going to find these people usually in interests. But I really would recommend that you find audiences for this phase that are at least 2 million. And, if you want to go up from there, it's absolutely fine. The budget is at the ad set level, so we're not really worried about where it's going to use the budget. We know it's going to use it on the audience. So if it's an audience that's 35 million and you really want to try it, that's fine. You can put it in there, okay? So 2 million plus on each of these, but make sure they're super aligned. So if you're targeting, lawyers, you don't want to put, dental law and criminal law both in this, right? You don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we've got the same sorts of people in each of these so that the testing is not out of whack. And then I like 3 creatives for each of these. because this is how campaign structure goes. You'll see this when we set up an ad in a second here. Generally, what I'd like to try here is a video and an image and another image, all with the same copy, okay? And we're just going to do this for all of them. Okay, so for each ad set, we have 3 ads underneath it. And since the budget is at this level, we're letting Meta decide where to put that budget. So if I have $20 a day on each of these ad set levels, it's going to say, okay, I've got your $20. Let me test against these and see where I think, based on the results that I'm seeing, I should put more of that $20 per day in. And it will try to test them all, but you will see that it will move the budget to one or the other that they see works better. Okay, so that's how I like to test. You're kind of testing more than one thing at once. It's not great by the book A/B testing or anything like that, but it's more about where our mental focus is. Right now, our mental focus is not so much here. Our mental focus is here. We're looking at what audiences we want to actually go after, okay? So what we would do is continue to turn off or on these based on how successful they are, if they're working or not working. And the same thing goes with the ads. If you see one ad that's beating the other ads, it's okay, you don't have to turn anything off, but if one is just totally bombing and it's getting budget, that's just a waste of money. You want to just turn that ad off. I'll show you all of this in a bit. Okay, so we have these, and what we're going to do is, as we continue to get rid of these, we're going to find other interest pockets and test them, right? And after you've been doing this for a couple of weeks, if you feel like things are going really well here, you start to move it to the next stage, which is transitioning it to a CBO campaign. So the budget then would be at the campaign level, okay? We have a brand new campaign. The budget is at the campaign level, put the $ in the wrong place. And then we would put our winner audiences in here. And then we're letting Meta decide where to put the budget on these ad sets because they're already tested by us and we've got their data in the pixel and we know what they're capable of. We know that they're winners. And the same thing here, winner ads, winner ads, winner ads. I usually end up having about 2 here. You may have to, depending on the size of the audience, add more creatives. You have to keep a look at the frequency number, but usually this is how I do it. Now I know that if you're just starting out with Facebook and Instagram ads, this might seem a little bit like, whoa, hold on, whoa, this is all on a whiteboard. I need to see in the ad account. I can't put my finger on this. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to set up an ad from scratch and I'm going to show you around the platform so that you can sort of put a real life example right to work with the stuff that we've been going over here. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so here we are in the back end of Facebook Ads Manager. Everybody loves it, right? Meta Ads Manager, whatever you might call it. So let's talk a little bit about what this stuff means. So remember I said that it was formatted like a tree. So we have that tree here. We have the campaign. Inside of the campaigns, we have ad sets. Inside of the ad sets, we have ads, right? You'll see a recent ad here, right? And today we're going to just set one up from scratch. I'm going to show you how I create the creative. I'm going to show you how I create the ad copy. We're going to go through audience targeting, setup, and everything, okay? So what we're going to do today is we're going to start running an ad. And that ad is going to be aimed at digital marketing owners, digital marketing agency owners who want to get leads using a proprietary LinkedIn system to get B2B leads. Okay, so we're going to set this up today. So what we're going to do first in our back end here is we're going to go to create, and then we're going to go to leads. Now you see here we have all these objectives. We can go for sales, app promotion, leads, engagement, traffic, awareness. If you're setting up a cold audience ad, which is what we're doing here, remember people that have no relationship with your brand, you're going to do probably, honestly, laser sales. It sounds good to be using some of these things, and there are use cases when you could, but chances are if you are watching this video, you're not super experienced with Facebook ads and you're probably trying to wonder how to start. You're going to want to start with the stuff that's going to get the best results, and that's going right for leads or sales because that's what your business needs. So we're going to start with leads here, and we use this for instant forms, meaning getting people to fill out a form directly on Facebook ads or Instagram ads, and then that takes them through an application process. We can get leads on Messenger and Instagram there through chat, which I never use, honestly, and conversions, which I often use. So this is where we're sending people to a landing page and then we're using the pixel to convert them, right? We talked about the pixel, or to actually generate phone calls, right? That might be something a local business would use. Sales is what an e-commerce business would often use. Anybody that's driving direct purchases from an ad, like at the end of this ad, someone's going to put in their credit card number and they're going to get a conversion, right? That's what sales is for. So sales, conversions, this is where you drive that stuff. App promotion is specifically for people that are trying to get their iOS and Android apps going. Engagement, traffic, and awareness, I would not use much, if at all, at the top of the funnel. If you never in your career use these to a cold audience, I think that would be fine. They're not bad at all to use in retargeting, as we'll talk about later, but they're going to bring in worse people at the top. So we don't necessarily want to waste our money on that. Okay, so we're going to start with leads here because we're going for digital agency owners. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to start a campaign. I like to use emojis. First thing I do with emojis is I set it up so that it's the color of the stage of the funnel, right? We said cold, warm, and hot in the stages of the funnel. This is top of funnel, so it's going to use blue. I'm going to go TOF, and then I'm going to describe the campaign. So first thing we're going to do, as we talked about, was ABO testing, right? So we're going to call this ABO interest tourist testing. And actually before this, I'm going to put digital marketing agency here because it's so that we know, because sometimes you might have different offers in your ad account and you want to make sure that everything is good. This is the thing. Most people's ad accounts, if they've been running ads for a while, are a disaster. Having good naming nomenclature like this is super important. And trust me, with the emojis, it's beautiful. You can really, if you're a visual person, you're going to see right in your campaigns like exactly what's running and what's top, middle, bottom of the funnel. It's great. Okay, so here, remember, we're going to be doing ABO, so the budget's at the ad set level, as we talked about. So this Advantage campaign budget is off. We talked about CBO / it's the same thing as Advantage campaign budget. They're the same thing. So we're going to keep that off. We want the budget at the ad set level, not the campaign level. Not doing an A/B test here with this. I never use this. And we're just going to go to next. Now for this specific campaign, we're going to be using instant forms, right? Pretty easy to set up. We're going to go through and use forms where people fill it out right on Facebook. Generally, a worse quality of leads with instant forms, but also cheaper. And you get a little bit more targeting options through Meta. So give and take, right? There are always ways to qualify people later on in that process, okay? So we have instant forms here, and then we have our business here. So this is my agency, Guide Social, and number of leads. Right now we're going to say yes, number of leads, and we're not going to put a cost per result goal here. Okay. If you show more options, you'll see when you get charged impression delivery type standard. I'm not going to change any of that stuff. There are certain objectives where you can change that stuff. You don't have to worry about that here. Dynamic creative. This is something that I do use from time to time. I'll admit I've started using it less lately because I'm getting worse results with it lately, and also I don't love the control that I have over each campaign and ad set. I like knowing exactly what creative is doing well so that I can manipulate it, and I can't do that as much with dynamic creative. I'm leaving it up to the algorithm. It can be great though, just like with many of the things that I talk about here. You have to test them for yourself, okay? This is just what I do and some best practices. We're not running catalog ads, so there's no catalog. Budget, sure, we'll start at $20 a day, right? It's always on a day-to-day basis. Do not set an end date. This is something that a lot of beginners do because they're money scared. They want to set an end date. Don't set an end date. You can always turn the thing off. You just want to let it run because ideally, remember, as we spoke about before, you want to be spending more money on ads. That would be good if you could spend more money on ads because that would mean that your business is growing. So let's just leave it off and you just keep tabs on it. Audience controls, okay? So living in or recently in this location, you used to be able to change this to living in, you cannot anymore. So just choose what's good here. In this case, I think US and Canada, usually I do include Canada in here, okay? So right now, this is what you're often going to see in the back end of Ads Manager, is you're going to see them basically trying to be like, hey, just let this do it for you. I do not recommend this. You should click on switch to original audience options so that you have full control over this sucker. I don't want to let their ad technology find the best audience. And I honestly haven't tested it enough to feel comfortable. I've been running ads this way for many, many years without this, but yes. So what we'll do here is for age, we want people that are kind of serious, right? Why don't we go sort of 24 to 60 is fine. All genders. And the first thing, you see this on, you are not going to get to change this in most campaigns you run. If you run website conversions on sales campaigns, lead campaigns, you're not going to even get to change this. This allows Meta to go out and find people that are likely to improve your performance. Generally, I do not see good results in this. Sometimes you do. You have to test it. But I'm going to turn it off because the thing is, it can obviously muddy up your testing numbers. Remember, we're setting up a test here, as we talked about before, with different audiences at the ad set level. So we want to make sure that we know exactly who these ads are being served to. And we can't do that if Meta is going outside of our targets to be able to find people. It's going to be very hard for us to test. So down here, we're looking for digital agency owners. Now, this is where you'll see, if we go to browse, you'll see all the different potentials here. So demographics, right? We can see people who have a certain education level, fields of study, all that type of stuff. So depending on your business, that might be interesting to you. The income stuff is not very good. I wouldn't recommend using it. This is specific to zip codes. So it's not targeting people based on actual information that they know about their income. It's targeting people based on where they live, which, yeah, can certainly be a marker, but it's just not great. Life events is quite good. We'll often want to find people that have had birthdays recently, especially if you sell products that are particularly along this thing, like friends of women, right? So these are people that are shopping for gifts, and people that have a new job, people that have a new relationship. So depending on your product or service, this may be something that you want to try. Newlyweds, recently moved. Meta knows a lot about you. So you may want to try those. Parents, so this is like if you have a product that helps kids or it's for parents. This is with parents that have different ages of children in there. Relationship status is something that you can help with, is something you can target, and then work, industries, all that type of stuff. I rarely use these, to be honest, but they're worth taking a look at. Like business decision makers is a great example. Right now, the size of this is only 1.2 to 1.4. That is not everybody on Meta. That's a decision maker, right? So you have to really think outside the box with this. And you'll always see your estimated audience size up here. This is estimated, and sometimes it's totally out of whack, but it is the best marker that we have as we're going through this targeting. Interests, if we go back to browse, is where you're going to see most stuff. So interests is where you can go browse through all the different interest targeting options, things people are into. You're never going to use the browse feature. I'll tell you right now. I know that I never do. Behaviors, you can see mobile device users, and they have an anniversary come up, stuff like this, new active business, etc. Generally, I almost always search and just see what comes up, because the most granular things can come up that you'll never find in browse. You look forever, you're just never going to find it. So for example, I'm targeting digital agency owners. So I'm just going to type this in and see what the most endemic audience is that we can find. So media agency marketing. That's pretty good, right? Of course, it's an interest, so it could be people that are running an agency. It could also be people that don't run an agency. Who knows? Like, it could be people that are just interested in digital agencies, right? And we see here that it is like of 500,000 people. So it's interesting. I'm going to put it in here for now, but let me keep looking around. It's not big enough for one ad set for me. Like I said, I'd like it to be at least 2 million. So let's keep on looking here. What I'll do to get ideas is I'll hit suggestions after I put one interest in. It'll be like, oh, people like that, huh? Okay, so hit suggestions. Now we have advertising agency marketing. Now that's 28 million people, right? So agency, that's interesting. 10 million. I think I'm good. And I'm going to stay here, right? So if I hit suggestion, I'm going to see people that have general interest in advertising campaign, general interest in online advertising, general interest in advertising, right? That's cool and all, but those people are a different potential audience. Let's go specifically after these right here. I'm going to scroll up to the top, and I'm going to label my ad set as that audience. So advertising, marketing, so that's what I'll call this right here. Okay, we uncheck that. Of course, this, we just want to get it to English, US. Placements. So this is an interesting one. So this is where you can choose exactly where your stuff is shown. This is the first thing that we went over, right, is placements. Do we want to just show it everywhere and let Meta decide where our ads are shown based on what's going to get the most conversions? That is definitely cheaper. Or do we want to gate it to specific placements? And because we can basically choose anything throughout these, right? What I will say is there's just no rule. You got to test it. I know it sucks. It's hard, but that is actually what you need to do. Lately, I will say to get the best lead quality, I've often been unchecking all of these and just sticking with the 2 feeds like this. And so I'll go down to feeds and I'll turn off all this stuff and just show it in the main Facebook and Instagram feed. Your CPMs that we talked about at the beginning, your cost to reach 1,000 people, that's your cost of advertising. That's going to go up if you choke your placements off like this, but your lead quality could go up too. All of this advertising, it's a balancing act, right? What I'm going to do here though is I'm going to use Advantage Plus placements. I just want to try to put stuff out there. I don't want to split test a bunch of stuff right now. Like, I'm just testing audience. Let's see what the responses are. Let's make it a little cheaper to test. I'm just going to go plus for Advantage Plus. If other things are showing me that, it just doesn't seem like the lead quality is great, even though we're getting good stats, then maybe it'll be something I test to go after just the feeds, okay? Okay, so you don't have to worry about any of this stuff here. None of this stuff. Go to next. Okay, so this is where we have our ads. So you see the tree here, campaign, ad set, audience, and under here, we have the ads. Now, remember how I said you're going to probably start by testing 3 of these. You don't create them all at once. What you do is create one full ad set with all the ads, and then you'll be duplicating the ad set, okay? So here's how we'll do this. We're going to go in here, and we're going to turn off multi-advertiser ads. I always turn that off, and obviously it just pulled some random stuff, and we're going to have to create a form as well. Okay, so first thing that we need to do is create some creative, and that's where I often go to Discord. I almost always go to Discord. I have a whole video on how I use Midjourney to help us come up with really good ads for Facebook and Instagram that can work really, really well. And rather than bore you with it, I'm going to put the link for the video in the description, and I'm going to create some stuff here. Okay, so now that we've got all those images in, we're going to go ahead and upload them. I'm just going to use 3 images here. Generally, I said, 1 video, 2 images, but just for the sake of time here, we've got a few images we're going to put in, so we'll go ahead and upload those. As you can see, I love using the pop art style. So we'll select this one first, and I've made it square already, so we don't have to crop it. If you did, you would want to make sure that it was square. And I wouldn't mess with this too much, honestly. If you have the time to create separate versions of these for each, go for it. Generally, I don't. And call it lazy, call it efficiency. I haven't seen it move the needle much to tailor it, but certainly you could. Change the crop a little bit here on the widescreen one, right? We go next. Okay, optimize. I like to turn off these optimizations. Good thing they're already off. I don't want Meta screwing with stuff. So, okay, now we go to done, and we see our ad over here, the preview of it. Okay. And primary text, that's where our copy goes. And for copy, I like to use Claude. Claude is like ChatGPT, except it's not. It's Claude, and I think it's a little bit better. So I use Claude AI to do this stuff. And, it's so much easier to just use AI to do these types of things. So I'm going to tell Claude to do some stuff for me. Write book ad copy targeted at digital marketing agency owners. The offer is to get leads on LinkedIn, the best quality leads they will ever get, high paying clients, 0 ad costs, guaranteed results, or you don't pay. Okay, that's the offer. And let's see what it comes up with. We'll probably have to, tweak it a little bit, but let's see. Okay, so we've got some copy here. Here's some sample Facebook ad copy. Tired of wasting money on low quality leads, get guaranteed leads, struggle to attract high paying. So this isn't bad. We might use part of this for our variation. See, it didn't understand me completely. The best part, you pay nothing for ads. So we'll just want to continue to give them information. There are no ads. The service is all done on LinkedIn organic, and it's not a free trial, it's a guarantee of results. So I'm just going to continue to tweak this in the background. And the other thing that I'm going to do is take another shot at copy using the ADA copywriting method. So ADA is attention, interest, desire, action, and it's sort of like Bible digital marketing copy stuff, right? Like grab their attention, get their interest, build desire, call to action, right? So we're going to see what it comes up with there, and that's going to give us our stuff. So all of this through, and we'll have our ad copy. Okay, so we've got our copy in there from AI. Now we're going to ask it to generate a headline for us, but we're probably going to put the offer in there. I always like to put the offer straight up. LinkedIn lead generation guarantee me your money back. That's good, but it's going to be a little bit too long. So you can see this is the mobile version of the Facebook feed. So we're going to put in a headline like. Okay, so here's what we ended up with. We highlighted the offer, pay on results, and we highlighted the avatar here, marketing agency, and what they're going to get, leads on demand. It's very hard to fit this all into this much, but this is what you have to do because look how much room you get. Any more than this, and you can see it's going to start getting cut off, right? See if we can get it to get cut off. Yeah, it's going to put the ... We don't really want that, right? So we don't have a whole lot of characters here. I wouldn't recommend adding text options or headline options right now. We test those things later. For description, you can put something in here. It usually doesn't show up, but we can put something along the lines of done for you LinkedIn lead generation, like that. And the call to action is learn more. Learn more tends to get the best click-through rates. And so I'm not going to go through this here today, but for this, it's a lead generation form. So we need to create a form here. And I can make another video on that. Guys, let me know in the comments if you'd like me to make a video on the forms, and I will make a video just on how to create optimized instant forms. But for now, we're just going to go with one that we already had. Okay, so now I'm going to go down here and look at this and see that our website events are actually not checked. And we always need to make sure that the pixel is going. And so now we'll find our pixel in here. Boom, we've got our pixel because we want to be able to check and make sure that people scheduled. I have a call booking thing here. And then when people actually book a call, they're getting redirected and they're going to come through as a schedule event. Remember we talked about events on the pixel? And so we wanted to make sure that this ad is tracking through to website events so that that's possible. Okay. And then we have URL parameters here, and I'll put this down below, but here's what I put in the URL parameters to make sure that you can track this stuff through Google Analytics and see the full funnel as needed. All right, so we'll just put it in there. There we go. And that'll allow you to dynamically pull in different pieces of Google Analytics from the campaign ad set level and ad level, so you can see those types of things. And now we can just hit publish. Take another look. Everything's looking pretty good here, right? Okay. And then we're just going to go ahead and hit publish. So now in testing, what I'm going to do is, since I've got these set up and I did label red hair so I know exactly what the ad is, I need to go and create 2 versions of this ad. I don't go and create the ad again from scratch. I just quickly duplicate, and I'm going to keep the same copy, right? And then we're going to go and we'll put in my Don Draper image that I made. Thought this was kind of cute. What do you think? Would you click on this? We'll see. We're testing. I like it though. I think it's fun. I think it's really fun. What dude doesn't want to be Don Draper? Okay, and then we don't have to check anything else. Everything else is good. So this is Draper pick, right? And we're going to publish. And then we're going to do the same thing. Action menu, quickly duplicate for a third piece of creative. Okay, so now to go back, we have campaign, right? And here, why don't we just put the filters here So here we go. This is our, it says no ads. This is just a glitch in Meta. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So if you click into this, you're going to see this one audience that we have. And inside the one audience, we have 3 ads. So then for testing, we said we were going to do 3 different ones, right? So instead of recreating everything from scratch, we don't have to. We're just going to quickly duplicate at the ad set level, just like we did before. So we do a quick duplicate. Now notice that the budget is at the ad set level. So we're now doubling our budget, right? We had $20 on that one. Now it's $20 on this one. Okay. And now we had advertising agency and media agency. Of course, it checked this for us. We wanted to turn that off. Everything else though will be the same. We need to delete out what we had there. Okay. And now we'll pick a different target. So this time we'll try a layer. We'll show you how layers work. So I'll just type in a couple of broad interests and layer them. So we have marketing. Digital marketing, that's pretty good. 149 million. It's kind of a lot of people, right? And of course, we have Canada, United States, 24 to 60. So that cut it down to 16 to 19 million. Let's make it even smaller. What we're going to do now is we're going to say narrow audience. So it means that they have to match this and another interest. So why don't we also get entrepreneurship interest? Now, make sure you're looking over here because this is entrepreneurship job titles, employers. See how small these are? I'm looking for the interest because I want to bring everybody in here. There we go, 382 million. So overlap those, you see we've got some people kicked out of it. So that's fine, we could go even more granular, whatever it is you want to test, but just remember that the pockets should be similar. And so we're gonna say here, broad marketing entrepreneurship, okay, great. See how all of our ads are already there because we duplicated at this level, which held all the ads inside of it. So now we can just hit publish. And then we just do it one more time to add another ad set. So that's how you set up a Facebook ad. But what does all this stuff mean in here? The first thing that you're going to want to do, okay, is, and sometimes you have to hit refresh. The first thing that you're going to want to do here is set up your columns. So this is the data that you look at. So this column up here, there are a bunch of default, well, there used to be more, but now there's only a few. I always start with performance clicks as my baseline. Then what I want to do is go to customize column. Don't worry, you're not going to have to do this every time. Okay. So these over here are the things that I'm going to see. And I'm just going to tell you what I like to look at. So delivery attribution setting, those are good. So delivery means is it active or not? Attribution setting just shows the window of attribution, right? The direct results that it got. Reach is like impressions, except it means unique people. So if, for example, you had a room of 100 people and it had 200 impressions, that would mean that it reached 100 people, right? And then each of them saw it twice, which is what frequency is. So frequency is 2 in that case, right? Because it's 100 times 2, right? So people are seeing it on average 2 times, okay? So we do want frequency in there and reach. Cost per result, yes, absolutely we want it there. In fact, I'm gonna drag that right below results. Okay, then we have budget, amount spent, this is all good. I turn off ends because I don't have campaigns end. Why would I do that? I don't have schedule because I don't schedule campaigns or give them lifetime budgets. I don't worry at this point about quality ranking, engagement ranking, conversion ranking. I do like impressions. I like putting that next to reach because if I look at them next to each other, I can sort of see if I'm hitting the same people over and over again, and then frequency there makes a ton of sense. CPM, here we go. We know CPM, right? Cost to reach 1,000 people, need that in there. I like seeing link clicks and cost per link clicks. And then CTR, this is a big metric we're going to look at, click-through rate. So we're looking for 1% or greater on click-through rate. So that's there. I like that. I turn off clicks all, CTR all, CPC all. Other than that, and let me know in the comments if there's anything else that you like to put here, okay? And we have some custom ones here. Back when the agency was really big, we had a ton of stuff going on. We also created some custom ones like scroll stop percentage, conversion rate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The other one that I want to put in here because I have the event on the pixel is schedule. So if somebody schedules an appointment, I want to know how much that is costing. So that will add it down here and appointment scheduled and then cost per appointment schedule right there. And there's so many other things you can put on any standard event that you want to look at, any clicks, cost per unique, outbound clicks, all those. There's so many things. You can see engagement if that's what you're running, any of those types of things. Right now, we're mostly talking about conversion campaigns. And so that's what we'd want to look at. So we go to save as preset, and I want you to just type in something like your business and then master. So I'm just going to call it LG master and then apply. And so now you see it says LG master. So you only have to do it once. And here's another trick for you. If you go to campaign delivery is active here, right? And then you have this on your one that you set, you can bookmark this exact URL up here, this exact URL, and it will be the same view every single time. Okay, so you just go ahead and bookmark this. So we went through each of these and what they mean. So results means for your objective that you chose, what's happening, how much is it costing per. We went over impressions and reach. Frequency we went over, right? CPM, again, cost of advertising, clicks, how much each click is costing us. CTR, right? So this is 1% or greater is what we're looking for. Appointment scheduled, etc. Just to give you some benchmarks here, really loose. CPM for B2C, somewhere in the realm of like $7 to $15, probably. If you're in a beauty or makeup type industry, it can be higher a lot of the time. But it's obviously, there's tons of different factors that go into CPM. That's just general guidelines. CTR, we'd like that 1% or higher. Obviously, I'm not going crazy if it's 0.8. And at the end of the day, really what we care about are results and leads. But this is what you're looking at. Appointments scheduled for B2B, like $200, for B2C, maybe 70 to 110. It really totally depends. This is just what I've seen throughout my years doing this. And you can click through and you can see these at each level. So I can see the different results on these depending on which audience we're going after. And then if I click in, I can see which ad's getting a higher click-through rate, which ad has higher CPMs, et cetera, et cetera. So this is really important to drill down and look at every level of the Facebook ad ecosystem when you're trying to decide how things are actually doing. Really, really important, okay? We really need to dig into remarketing now. Retargeting on Facebook, Instagram ads, really every ad platform can be the most profitable. Remember, we were just talking to a cold audience before. So these are people that have no idea what your brand is. They have no idea who you are. They haven't seen an ad. They haven't been on your website, no relationship with you whatsoever. And you're trying to get them to take action and become a part of your family, right? Buy from you, whatever. But retargeting, these are people that already have a relationship with your brand. They've watched your videos, they've clicked your ads, they've clicked your links, they've watched your content, they've engaged with your content, even organically. Remember, we've got that pixel, and the more filled up that jar is, the more retargeting you can do. These people already have a relationship with you, and so theoretically, they're a better audience. These audiences are small, and so you have to continue to fill them up in order to make retargeting worthwhile. But for every brand that's using meta ads to grow their business, retargeting is absolutely essential. And if you are the kind of person that has tons of traffic coming to your site all the time, or you're really active on Instagram and Facebook, and there's tons of engagement, I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Or if you're running traffic on Google ads or YouTube ads, I mean, you must be running retargeting on Meta, because that pixel, as I told you to install, it's filling up, the jar's filling up, filling up, filling up, and the more full it is, the more people that you can market to that already know you. And they may already trust you, depending on what interactions they've had with you before this. So let's set up some retargeting. I'll show you how I do it, and we'll go right over my shoulder. Okay, now let's do our retargeting. Okay, so we're on campaigns, and we're gonna go to create, and we have to pick this again. Probably going to want to do leads again. You're just going after leads or sales, okay? That's the low-hanging fruit. Over time, and I have plenty of other, let me know if you want more contextual videos on why you would use awareness or traffic or engage. There's so many retargeting strategies that you can use to be top of mind as well as conversion, but this is just basic 101 type stuff, right? So we're just gonna try to get leads again. So this is everybody that's interacted with our business in the past 6 months. So this is what I'd call a warm audience. You can also go after a hot audience, right? And that hot audience might be people that have interacted or added to cart or something in the last 7 days or 14 days, but we're going after a sort of bigger, warmer audience, right? We did the funnel before. This is the middle of the funnel. And that's what we're going to put in our naming nomenclature up here. So we're going to go ahead and do, there we go, right there. Awesome. Not one, just two. MOF, middle of funnel. Okay, and we're going to say digital marketing agency, DMA retargeting. I don't know. Okay, so you're going to keep all this stuff off. Again, I would just keep the budget at the ad set level for this as well. Now we're going to click next. Okay, now instant forms before, we could do that too. Just for the sake of this, we're going to do it. If you're driving people to a funnel, a home page, whatever it is, you're going to choose website. And if you do website, and this goes for the top of the funnel as well, you need to select your pixel there and then select the event. Remember, we talked about events, that code that you put in the footer, the tracking code, that's what that is, okay? But I'm just going to stick with instant forms just because that's what we've been running in this campaign. You can spend a little less money on retargeting because obviously it's a smaller group of people, so we'll just put it on 10 for now. You always want to keep an eye on these things though and see where there's opportunities to scale. So audience controls, United States, sure. Remember we had Canada. And, I don't need to go through each one of these things, but you see it's not even allowing us to do a lot of the customization that we need to do. So once again, we need to click on switch to original audience options, and we need to do custom audiences. Okay, so we have to create pockets of people in our pixel, the jar, that have interacted with us in certain ways. That's our retargeting. So we're going to go to create new custom audiences. This is how I create my Hot 180. First, website. Okay, and we're going to select from our pixel all website visitors in the last 180 days. And I use this nomenclature, the name of the business, abbreviation, website, 180. So it tells me the source of it
and then the number of days. I always do it the same way. Create audience. If you wanted to put a description, you can. That's just so it's going to automatically retarget everybody that's visited our website via the pixel in the last 180 days. You can add a customer list. I'm not going to do today, but if you have a bunch of people in MailChimp or Go High Level or ActiveCampaign, you can upload them through customer list. Right now, we'll go right to Facebook page. And this is another one that you'll want to do. We ran it from our Guide Social page, right? So we'll use that one instead of Reframe. So Guide Social, and we can go up to 365 with this, but we said we were going to do a hot 180, so we should keep it there. So GS, Facebook Engage, 180, okay. All right, and you get the point. So we're going to do the same thing for Instagram account, the same thing for video, and in video, it's important that you have to choose the content type. I like doing, for a middle of funnel like this, 25% of the video. Then you choose each of the videos that you want to give the piece of this, okay? Other custom audiences, instant experience, if you're using that. Lead form, we had lead form there, so everybody that clicked the lead form would get bumped into that. App activity, if that applies to you. So there's all sorts of ways that you can retarget people. Ways they've shopped. I don't know what augmented reality means. So there's all sorts of stuff here. If you're running events, okay, all of these things, right? And so you're going to want to do that. You're going to uncheck this if you're able to. Uncheck that. Okay. And then you should be good to go. Just don't put any interest targeting in there or anything. You want to make sure it only goes to your custom audiences, okay? After you put all those in, you can also save this audience and call it the Hot 180. That can really help, okay? And then next, and then the creative is the same way. So what I would recommend doing is just setting this up base level and just getting a conversions campaign going at middle of funnel to get those people that are already aware of your brand.
Okay, so let's talk about campaign structure and scaling. So you saw before how I like to test. I like to test through little interest pockets with budgets at the ad set level. We went through the different levels at the ad set level. Very hard to scale that way. The most that you can do when you're trying to scale those specific campaigns is you can increase it by 20% per day. It's a slow road to actually getting more results because you can't spend more money fast. So what we want to do, or what my methodology is for this, is moving the budget to the campaign level so that we can allow Campaign Advantage Plus to make the decisions for us about where it puts our budget within that campaign. It used to be called CBO, now it's called Advantage Campaign Plus. So that's where we want to head because that allows us to pretty much scale at will with getting minimal performance reductions. As you scale, you're always going to get worse CPAs, worse lead costs, all that type of stuff. It's just going to happen. But when you're adding a lot of money quickly, you're trying to scale quickly, this is where you need to put your budget. You want to move things from the ad set level to the campaign level. And it's very important here that I talk a little bit about money mindset. When you're running meta ads and you want to use them to make money, your goal should be spending as much money as possible. That's the point, right? Ideally, you're running advertising through Meta that's getting you something around 3x plus ROI on your ads. And you just want to put more money into that. If it's creating that kind of ROI, it's not going to always and almost never will create that kind of ROI immediately. You don't run advertising just for short-term money all the time. You run it also for longer-term money. You run it for lifetime value of a customer, all those types of things. If you have found through the data that these ads on Facebook and Instagram are getting you 3x ROI plus consistently, you just want to throw as much money at it as possible and scale it, 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 and scale it. You need to treat money like poker. In poker, if I think like, oh, I can't bet this $20 because that's my kid's food for next week, you're never going to be successful because you're looking at everything through a skewed perspective. You're never going to be able to make the optimal decision to make more money in your business through advertising if you're scared around the money and you get weird around the money and everything starts to feel precious and money seems to be inextricably linked to emotion. That's going to be very, very difficult. You need to just wipe that all away and make the best decision that you can possibly make for your business and the ads that you are running based on the card that you're dealt. What are your numbers? What's your offer? Is it scaling well? Etc. So with that said, let's go take a look at campaign structure and how I recommend moving from the testing phase to the scaling phase. On Facebook, Instagram ads, really every ad platform can be the most profitable. Remember, we were just talking to a cold audience before. So these are people that have no idea what your brand is. They have no idea who you are, they haven't seen an ad, they haven't been on your website, no relationship with you whatsoever, and you're trying to get them to take action and become a part of your family, right? Buy from you, whatever. But retargeting, these are people that already have a relationship with your brand. They've watched your videos, they've clicked your ads, they've clicked your links, they've watched your content, they've engaged with your content, even organically. Remember, we've got that pixel, and the more filled up that jar is, the more retargeting you can do. These people already have a relationship with you, and so theoretically, they're a better audience. These audiences are small, and so you have to continue to fill them up in order to make retargeting worthwhile. But for many folks,
with campaign structure and scaling, I think generally less campaigns is better. You want to keep things relatively simple. What you'll often see me do is I'll have something like this, a top of funnel and a middle of funnel right here. Occasionally, not to confuse things, but occasionally I will have a couple of middle of funnel campaigns that are video view campaigns or reach campaigns or engagement, just with videos at $1 a day, just so that I show up top of mind all the time, right? For people in their feed, not spending a ton of money, so that when they see my conversion ad, they're not like, who the heck is that guy, right? But as we're scaling these things, just to show you how I would set up that CBO. So let's say, oh, I love both of these here. I love both broad marketing and advertising. Those are the winners, and we like all the ads. We're just going to say all those ads are winners. So we're going to go check, check, and this is how you scale it up into a new Advantage Campaign Plus campaign. Duplicate into a new campaign. Okay, and then you're going to pick this, top of funnel, and then you're going to say CBO, like Advantage Campaign Plus, whatever, scaled DMA, whatever. You're going to duplicate. And the good thing is you don't have to do a hard work again. It's already done. You see how it duplicated everything there, which is awesome. All you need to do is go to the campaign level and chunk that on, and your budget just lives here. And you can only scale at the ad set level if you have your budget at the ad set level, whoops, like this, 20% a day at most. But if you have your budget here at the top, you can really scale at will. I mean, obviously, your costs are always going to go up as a cost per lead or a cost per sale as you scale, but not in some crazy inflated way. It's much better to have it here. There's much more scalability when you have the budget at the campaign level. So that is how I would recommend scaling out these campaigns once you get to that point. Now, if you wanted to use lookalike audiences, you would need to create a custom audience first. I'm going to this now because we understood custom audiences first, but lookalike audiences are another thing to test. As I mentioned before, you take this seed audience, this custom seed audience, and then you create a lookalike off of it. So let's say you've got people that have visited your site in the last 2 months. Say, oh, Facebook, I want you to go find 2 million people just like these people. Okay, and then it'll do that. So if you say create lookalike audience, and then you create one that you already created. So if we go to, here we go, people that have engaged on the Facebook page in the last 180 days. Okay, and I'll just say United States. You can do multiple countries here, but you have to make sure there's enough people in the seed audience. 1% is 2.8. 1% is the people that are most closely matched to those seeds. 2%, a little less closely matched, 3%, and so on. That does not necessarily mean they're going to perform worse, though. You've got to test those things. So then you go create audience, and you've got yourself a 1% lookalike audience, and it's going to find those people, right? So that's how you create those lookalike audiences, which is another great way to scale out another test and just scale in general when you're trying to find the right people.
Now, none of this matters if your offer isn't working, if your messaging sucks. It's not going to resonate. If people click your ads and then they go over to your various pages and such, and the language isn't there, like you're not drawing me in, it's not cutting through the noise, it sounds like every other offer, you're not building trust, people don't believe in you, that is a sign that you are in massive need of a reframe. Most businesses are, because there's a lot of competition out there and you need to slice through it. And that's where we come in. If you go to reframeit.io, you can book a consultation call with our team and we will help you shape this out and we'll show you what it looks like to work together. Regardless, we're going to be able to help you with a bit of reframing on your business because it's just so important. You can't get results with this stuff without great framing. Framing is everything. It all falls apart. All the advertising stuff I talked about with you today completely falls apart and crumbles to the ground if your framing sucks on your business, for your landing pages, for your content, for your website, your headlines, all that type of stuff. As always, thank you for your attention. Thank you for your bravery, and I'll see you soon.